What is up, team? Welcome back to the Red Storm Rapid Reaction Podcast. I'm Pat King. That's Cole Adshaw. And we've got Johnny's basketball to talk about. Here in October, and St. John just had an exciting win over Rutgers in an exhibition game on their home court, on Rutgers' home court. St. John's goes on the road and gets an awesome experience, great opportunity for a team to play against a quality team, a talented team, a team that's ranked in the top 25 during the season. And St. John's saw a bunch of different stuff. They had to battle, they had to claw, they came out pretty well. They got in a drought, they had to climb back in, and they won a close game. Cole, your thoughts here early as St. John's, I don't know, escapes or I don't know if escapes the right word, but comes back and gets an exciting win against Rutgers to start their
We are
24-25 season.
we are back, baby. We are so back. How fired up are you right now? I am juiced. Rick's got me ready to run through a brick wall.
Excited. I'm very excited. Yes, this was an awesome way to get the season started. It looked like maybe, in that first half that there's a few things weren't going as well as we'd hoped to see. But that second half, I think, really gave us a glimpse into the team we're going to have this season when the rotation gets tighter and guys get more used to playing together. And quite a talented bunch we've got.
Does the AP maybe want to revisit putting Rutgers at 25 and putting us at 27 as we take it to them there on their home court?
I was actually going to ask if those ever get re-released or when's the next time they do those votes. Probably, I would guess sometime in November after a week of games or so is in. But I'm sure it will float around in someone's mind. I mean, these exhibitions are televised and discussed more than these secret scrimmages. But it is just that. It is an exhibition. So St. John's didn't win anything of meaning tonight. But it was great to see the new guys come over. It was great to see the returners. Some progress there. A couple returners had some huge games. In particular, Zuby and RJ both led the way scoring-wise. Zuby had 27 points and 13 rebounds. RJ Lewis had 22 points on 9 shots. Excuse me. Both those guys looked phenomenal. Any thoughts on those two guys, Cole?
I obviously both played tremendous games. I really liked what RJ Lewis did today. I thought he played great defensively. A few lapses, especially in the first half, mentally, kind of the RJ we had seen last year, but you could see that new shooting stroke looked good from 3. So it was nice to see that. And I know just looking at Twitter after the game, Rick was raving post-game about Zuby's performance. I think he might have read some of those Bill Self quotes, and he said people were saying my guy couldn't do a lot of this stuff. Well, he just went out there and proved it. Tremendous game. You and I were talking before we started this, just his explosiveness off the ground on some of those dunks is unbelievable. Sky's the limit for him in the progress that he's made. One of the things I was most happy about today with our performance was, winning a game against a top 25 team on the road, and you have arguably your best player, Kadary Richmond, sitting for a large portion of the first half once he picked up that second foul. Obviously, Rutgers went on that huge 22-0 run. And then even looking at like the post-game stats, I mean, he didn't really carry the scoring load for us today as we know he can, finishing with almost messes around and still gets a double-double with 9 points, 9 boards, and 6 assists. But he really was taking on a lot of a facilitator role instead of really looking for his own shot and getting to the rim like he can. So we got to, again, getting a win on the road against a top 25 team, but Kadary can also do so much more than what he did today. So there's so much more to our team game and to his personal game that we can expect for the rest of the season. And still, we had such an unbelievable performance. An unbelievable night. I couldn't be more excited for this season.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate why I love a guy like Kadary so much is, like you said, he only had 9 points, but you still felt his presence out there. Huge rebounds in the second half. Couple big defensive stops. He hit it wasn't the go ahead. I think it was to go up by 3, pull up jumper late that kind of solidified our hold on the game. And you could feel his presence. He wasn't forcing things. He was letting things come to him. And his kind of versatility allowed for us to play the lineups we did in the second half. We went a little smaller, or as we will for much of the season, with RJ at the 4 or Scott at the 4, and playing Smith and Wilcher together out there. I think we'll see a couple big scoring nights from Kadary this year. He's my prediction to lead the team in scoring. but I also think we'll see some nights where he's just got 10 boards, 7 or 8 assists, and maybe the scoring's not there, but he's still really leading the charge and doing a lot of things that we're going to have to do to win basketball games.
And his length to get in the passing lanes with
Yeah.
that steal to ice the game when we were up by 3. I mean, it's unbelievable the versatility that we have on defense this year with the players that we have. I mean, I thought Aaron Scott played really well defensively, especially in the second half. I loved that lineup that Rick had really closing the game out with Scott, RJ, Zuby, Davon, and Kadary. Obviously, Davon got the steal on the possession before when Kadary iced it when we were up by 1. And one of my pet peeves that was a bugaboo for us all season last year was free throw shooting. We didn't shoot particularly well today, going 22 of 34. But with the game on the line, Davon hit those 2 huge free throws at the end. Hitting them when they count, even when you only shoot 67%, if you're going to hit them in nut cutting time, like, I'll take it.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Davon. He didn't start tonight. I think when we were playing our best, he was playing really well and was involved in a lot of things. I think the box score only credited him for 3 assists. I would really bet a lot of my life savings he had more than those 3 assists. I thought I counted at least 3 in a short stretch in the second half, and he had a couple more as well. Anyway, I thought he played better than the box score would indicate. I think when he was involved and he was kind of orchestrating things, even on a light level, nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy, but just simple passes, simple game setting stuff. I think we looked really well, and you could tell his speed is really a changer in the front court. I will say that one shot he took to end the first half, 20 seconds left in the first half. We had a chance to take the last shot in the half on the road when we were already kind of losing control of the game there. I would have loved to see the point guard just know to run some offense and get the last shot in the half. Hopefully he learns this lesson now, but it would have been nice if he just knew it coming in. Other than that, I was impressed. Even if his box score numbers don't really stand out, I think he's going to be a huge part of what we do.
I didn't like either of those 2 possessions to end the half. I think before that, with like 45 seconds left, we had possession and he sort of rushed down the court and kicked it, I think, to an open 3. I don't remember who missed it. But I liked, you and I were texting back and forth during the game. I liked what Davon did. I think he also had 3 steals. He looked good and pesky defensively. Obviously, like we just said, he had that one of the 2 steals to end the game. Quick, absolutely quick as a hiccup, like unbelievable how fast he looks out there on the court. And as you and I talked about with our friends Dave and Frank on the Eye of the Storm podcast, I had predicted him to be the team's leading rebounder. We saw a little bit of that like dog that he has, that knows that headiness on the defensive glass. The second he came in, somebody on Rutgers had shot a corner 3. Davon caught the air ball on the other side. Like, he's immediately thinking on the defensive end when he's not playing on ball defense. He's trying to get in there and position himself for the rebounds, which I love out of a small guard. It's awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think even with him like not getting the start, I think more importantly for Rick is sort of who's closing the game, right? And I think that sort of lineup that he had out there, I think that was very indicative of who he looks at as kind of being his closing players.
He started Io in the first half, and I wasn't overly surprised by that move. It seemed kind of on brand for Rick, and I do think that impacted the way we started. I mean, to me, it looked the first 2 or 3 possessions that him and Scott both thought they were playing the same position when they're probably used to both being 4s in practice, and they played them out there together. And Io didn't know exactly where he was. To me, that's what it looked like. And then the substitution patterns never seemed to quite settle in that first half. Maybe some of it had to do with Kadary foul issues and him just working some guys in there. But once they settled in and he played really just those 6 guys, that'd be the starting group of Lewis, Kadary, Wilcher, Zuby, and Scott, plus Smith coming in, and then just a couple minutes from Dunlap in the second half. I think that group of 6.5 guys really got the job done defensively, at least making Rutgers work for it. They did hit some tough shots. They did get some good looks. Those freshmen, Bailey and Harper, are really talented, and they got some good glue guys around him. But it was really good to see them battle back in a tough environment and to sneak out there with a win and then hold on late when it wasn't easy. Um, Wiltshire's a guy we haven't really talked about. I think he had, some pretty decent numbers in the first half. He had like 6 or 7 points and 6 or 7 rebounds, but he struggled shooting and looked a little shaky with the ball when he was getting pressured, I thought. In the second half, he settled down, got some good looks, had a nice finish, a nice left-handed dunk in transition, looked aggressive around the rim and going after rebounds, which is good to see. I think he's best suited playing with both those guards. I don't think he's the guy this year who will be really living in the paint, facilitating for others and making plays for others. I think he's going to be living off the work that Kadary and Smith do, and then some secondary options where he gets to work off ball screens and attack mismatches. But I thought he played good. I think it's a good step in the right direction.
I thought he really played well in the second half. I thought in the first half you still saw a little bit of those like freshman jitters carrying over from last year, but in the second half, like to your point, like it seemed like he was hunting for a shot a little bit more. He was penetrating a little bit better. He finished with 15, 6 boards, and 3 assists. So creating a little bit for others. You mentioned that left-handed jam on the break. I think it was Kadary passed to him. That was great. His fellow sophomore, I think, had a little bit more of a struggle with Brady Dunlap. I know he's sort of still settling into his new body, put on a bunch of weight in the off season. I guess speaking with Dave, we recorded yesterday. Dave was saying, I guess he's cutting off a little bit of that weight, probably losing and figuring out his shot now with the new weight. But I agreed with what you had said, is that his shot had looked a little flat today. To be determined. Obviously, like you said, in the second half, Rick kind of like glued him to the bench, didn't get as many minutes. Maybe was the extended time in the first half a result of Kadary being in foul trouble? Not really sure, but I think that's something we'll have to see improve is Brady's shot, sort of his defensibility. But at least he does look significantly bigger out there than last year. So really kudos to him for putting on the weight in the offseason.
Yeah, and I don't think he's necessarily just a shooter. Obviously, that's what he's made his name off of, and what we figure him to do best. But I did like the way he was a aggressive, rebounder, hustler guy, and he could make some backdoor cuts. He could move without the basketball, and he could make some decent passes to feed the post. Some things that you can always, add up throughout the game if you're not making your shots. But it's really going to come down to him making shots. And if he's not making a high percentage from this year, we have different options to go to. Jaden Glover or Wiltshire can get more minutes on the wing, or Prey can come in and we can even play bigger. Perhaps give Cole his favorite lineup possibilities, including Zuby paired with another big out there. Who knows? But I think Brady will get those chances early, and if he doesn't make those shots, then they'll probably go to someone else. I'm a believer in the kid as a player at some point. I'm not sure if it's going to be this first month of the season. Like you mentioned, that weight can be an adjustment period. Putting it on is a necessity, but then you got to learn how to play with it too. Mm-hmm. And that might take another year before he really blossoms. And we forget that sometimes players don't take off until their junior year. And, in this transfer craze, sometimes you got to allow for a player to develop and hope they stick through it.
Another really important thing I think we should mention about Kadary today was obviously we saw how insanely important he is to the team when Rutgers went on that huge run the second that he went to the bench with his second foul. But he picked up that third foul relatively early there in the second half, and Rick let him play through it. Kadary went for that blocked shot there early in the second half and got whistled for it. Rick let him play through it, and he finished the game with 3 fouls, playing the majority of the second half with the 3 fouls. So was able to play smart enough, not pick up another one, not have to be forced to go into the bench, which I thought was like very, very heady of him. And definitely a big kudos for that.
Well, he's Rick's notorious for not playing guys in the first half once they pick up that second foul. And I looked at it 2 different ways. In this instance, like maybe he didn't want to, even in the exhibition, didn't want to allow for Kadary to play with that second foul, just to put it in Kadary's mind that it's okay to pick up 2 fouls in the first half. Just let this be a lesson for him. But I do hope he's a little less strict this season in terms of gluing guys to the bench once they pick up that second foul in the first half. I think you got to be able to trust your guys to play with 2 fouls, and then trust your bench if they can't. Once that foul occurs, don't foul them out yourself by not playing them because of fear for foul trouble. But you're right, he did let him play in the second half once he picked up his third, and thank God he did. And
How
shout
about
out, I'm sorry,
go
shout out.
go?
I should say shout out to Dave and Frank. You mentioned it, but those guys in the Eye in the Storm podcast, your favorites, Dave and Frank, big time contributors to all St. John's content. Cole and I were on their podcast. We recorded yesterday, the day before the exhibition, and will be released some point next week. We won't spoil too much what we said, but we go deep dive in just about everything under the sun of St. John's basketball. And, I don't want to spoil anything, but those two guys, they're on to something with that Zuby guy, I think. So credit there, and then you'll have to tune in to hear their projections for that.
He looked damn good. How about some of those freshmen from Rutgers? My gosh, how good did Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey look? Ace Bailey drilling
impressive.
threes, looking like Kevin Durant out there on the 3-point line.
Yeah, he was letting Scott know about it. Luckily, Scott got the last word, I think, with the win and a nice 3 of his own and a block shot to finish things off. But they look good. Athletic, could shoot, just totally talented kids and probably not there for long.
I think that PJ Hayes kid for Rutgers is an early candidate for hate the face, punchable face for an opponent that we play against.
Yeah, and he relishes it too. So shout out to PJ, I guess. But I agree with you there.
Looking at the plus minus stats out of the box score, just some of the stuff that was kind of interesting there. Obviously, as can be expected when you go to the bench and the other team goes on a 22-0 run. Kadary was a plus 20. RJ was a plus 15. Davon was a plus 12. And then Brady being the minus 11. He was the lowest guy in the totem pole. But yeah,
how many minutes did Brady play, if it shows it?
Brady had 13 minutes. So minus 11 and 13 minutes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Kadary plus 20, that doesn't surprise me. You felt his presence both when he was in the second half and when he was gone in the first half. The plus 12 by Smith seems about right. We'll see. It will be interesting to see what happens with those. I mean, we didn't see Lefty, we didn't see Maker tonight. Not totally surprised. We only saw Prey for a couple minutes, and we only saw Vince for 5 minutes. So, if this is any indication of where Rick sees where the bench minutes are going to come from, we better hope that Zuby's able to stay out of foul trouble. But those guys are young, especially Prey and Glover, and Rick's notorious for not, rushing freshmen. So we'll see how they develop and how much trust they're able to garner from Rick as the season goes on. When do we play next? I mean, what's going on?
Delaware? Fordham's in big trouble, man. They don't know what's coming for him.
We got another exhibition, right? Who knows? St. John's will broadcast that. I think is it Delaware? Am I making that up, or do we play Delaware? Anyway,
Delaware
guys,
State, maybe.
That's talk for another time. You got anything else you want to bring up, Cole? Any other things on your mind about tonight's game?
Just after watching that exhibition, I cannot be more excited. I knew we had a really good roster in our hands. Obviously, when you have the number 1 incoming transfer portal, kudos to Rick, kudos to Mike Rapoli for opening up the checkbook.
Shout out, Mike.
But after seeing the team in action, after seeing that unit out there, I mean, the sky's the limit. I can't be more excited. Again, it can't be understated, but this was a top 25 Rutgers team that we just beat in their house. It sounded pretty packed to me watching on TV. So
yeah, that's a quad 1 win, right? We can put that in the books. Yeah, we'll talk about metrics that are hopefully not sweating metrics at any point this time or any point this season. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Me and Cole will be back this year as much as we can. Cole might be taking some solo nights, and I think he's up for it. Maybe we'll bring his brother Sean on the fold. We'll bring some guests along the way. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Please subscribe. Please like. Please reply. Leave a comment or anything on Twitter, YouTube. We appreciate it. For Joel Soriano, this has been Pat Kane. That's Cole Ladshaw, Red Storm Rap Reaction Podcast. Peace.